drier and longer than anything humans have seen in those regions in the last 1,000 years. According to a new NASA study published in Science Advances on February 12, 2015. The research found continued increases in human-produced greenhouse gas emissions drives up the risk of severe droughts in these regions. Ben Cook said natural droughts like the 1930s Dust Bowl and the current drought in the Southwest have historically lasted maybe a decade or a little less. Climate scientist at NASA's Goddard Institute for Space Studies and the Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory at Columbia University in New York City, and lead author of the study. What these results are saying is we're going to get a drought similar to those events, but it is probably going to last at least 30 to 35 years. A drought lasting more than 3 decades is 12%. If greenhouse gas emissions stop increasing in the mid-21st century, as in a climate scenario called RCP 4.5, Cook and his colleagues project the likelihood of megadrought to reach more than 60%. However, if greenhouse gas emissions continue to increase along current trajectories throughout the 21st century, climate scenario RCP there is an 80% likelihood of a decades-long megadrought in the Southwest and Central Plains between the years 2050 and 2099. The scientists analyzed a drought severity index and 2 soil moisture data sets from 17 climate models that were run for both emission scenarios. The high emission scenario projects the equivalent of an atmospheric carbon dioxide concentration of 1,370 parts per million, ppm, by 2100, while the moderate emission scenario projects the equivalent of 650 ppm by 2100. Currently, the atmosphere contains 400 ppm of CO2.
To listen to the next conversation, complete the application form in the space.
Good morning. Can I help you?
Yes, I was told to come over here to get a parking sticker. Is this the right place?
Yes, it is. Are you a postgraduate student?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Well, I'll just need to take some details. Your name?
Richard Lee. That's spelt L-E-E.
Richard Lee. And the address?
Flat 13, 30 Enmore Road.
How do you spell Enmore?
E-N-M-O-R-E. And that's in the suburb of Newport. N-E-W-P-O-R-T.
Faculty?
I beg your pardon?
Which faculty are you in?
Oh, architecture, the Faculty of Architecture.
Right. And the registration number of your car?
Let me see. LXJ50... Oh, no, sorry. I always get that wrong. It's LJX058K.
LJX508K?
No, 058K.
Ah. And what make is the car?
It's a Ford.
A Ford. Fine. Well, I'll just get you to sign here, and when you've paid the cashier, I'll be able to issue you with a sticker.
Right. Where do I pay?
Just across the corridor in the cashier's office. Oh, but it's 12:30 now, and they close at 12:15 for lunch. But they open again at 2:15 until 4:30.
Oh, they're not open till 2:15?
No. When you get your sticker, you must attach it to the front windscreen of your car. I'm afraid it's not valid if you don't have it stuck on the window.
Right, I see. Thanks very much. I'll just wait here then. Listen to the guide and complete the notes.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Maritime Museum. Now, before we commence our tour, I'd just like to tell you a little bit about the history of the museum. As you can see, it's a very modern building, built in the postmodern style, and it was in fact opened by the Prime Minister of Australia in November 1991. It's been designed with a nautical flavour in mind, to remind us of our links with the sea. But the museum isn't only housed in this building. There are a number of historic ships docked outside in the harbour which form part of the museum, and which you are also free to visit. And we'll be coming to them shortly. I'd just like to point out one or two things of general interest while we're here. Handicapped toilets are located on this floor, and the doors are wheelchair. The cloakroom, where you can hang your coat or leave your bags, is just behind us here. The education centre is on the top floor, and there's a good little library in there which you might like to use. Follow the signs to the education centre. You'll see a lot of little green arrows on the wall. The green arrows will take you there. The information desk, marked with the small letter I on your plan, is located right here in the foyer. So if you get separated from your friends, I suggest you make your way back to the information desk, because we'll be returning to this spot at the end of the tour. All right? Now, if you look out this window, you should be able to see where the museum's ships are docked. If you're going to go on a tour of the old ship, the Vampire, she's docked over there, and you should meet outside on the quay. However, a word of warning. I don't recommend it for the grandmas and grandpas, because there are lots of stairs to climb. Right now, let's move on. Oh, I almost forgot to give you the time for that tour. Now, tours of the Vampire run on the hour, every hour, all right? Let's take a walk around the museum now. The first room we're coming to is the theatre. This room is used to screen videos of special interest, and we also use it for lectures. There's a continuous video showing today about the voyages of Captain Cook, so come back here later on if you want to learn more about Captain Cook. Now, we're moving along the gallery known as the Leisure Gallery. This is one of our permanent exhibitions, and here we try to give you an idea of the many different ways in which Australians have enjoyed their time by the sea. Surfing, swimming, life-saving clubs, that's all very much a part of Australian culture. At the end of this section, we'll come to the picture gallery, where we've got a marvellous collection of paintings, all by Australian artists. I think you can buy reproductions of some of these paintings in the museum shop. They're well worth a good look. Now, we're coming to the Members' Lounge. Now, as a member of the museum, you would be entitled to use the Members' Lounge for refreshments. Membership costs $50 a year or $70 for all the family. So it's quite good value, because entry to the museum is then free. And down at the far end of this floor, you'll find the section which we've called Passengers and the Sea. In this part of the museum, we've gathered together a wonderful collection of souvenirs from the old days when people travelled by ship. You'll find all sorts of things there. Old suitcases, ship's crockery, first-class cabins decorated in the fashion of the day. Just imagine what it must have been like to travel first class. Now, I'm going to leave you to walk around the museum on your own for a while, and we'll all be back again at the information desk in 3/4 of an hour's time. I hope you enjoy your time with us at the museum today. Thank you.
As the conversation continues, Complete the notes in the spaces provided.
Anything else I can help you with while you're here?
Well, yes, actually. Do you know what the course requirements are? I mean, how much work is expected for this course?
Well, you have to complete a tutorial paper.
What does that involve?
Well, it's a piece of work on a given topic based on some set reading tests. You'll have to give a small talk to your tutorial group.
Oh, how long does that have to be?
Oh, about 25 minutes usually.
I have to talk for 25 minutes?
Yes, that's right. And then you have to write up your piece of work and give it to the lecturer to be marked.
Right. And is that all?
No. You also have to complete a 3,000-word essay on a topic.
Can I choose the topic?
Yes, usually you can.
Right. That shouldn't be too bad.
And in addition to that, there is an exam.
An exam? What sort of exam?
Well, it's an open book exam.
Does that mean I can have the textbook with me during the exam?
Yes, that's it.
And can you give me any idea about the content of the first year of economics, so that I can get into some reading?
Well, you'll be getting the reading list next week when lectures start. All the books are in the library.
Yes, but won't everyone else take them out as soon as they get the reading list too?
Well, yes, they might. But most of the important ones are held in closed reserve. That's a part of the library where you can go to read books, but you can't take them out of the building.
What did you call that section of the library?
Closed reserve. However, we do recommend that you buy the core books. You'll find them useful and you'll need them for the exam.
Yes, I suppose I will. But what is the focus of the course?
Well, the course at this university has a vocational focus. That is, a focus on preparing its graduates for work. So we're orientated very much towards employment.
Oh, so my chances of getting a job are good.
Well, provided you get good results.
Well, look, thanks for your time. You've been really helpful.
That's fine. See you next week, then.
You will hear a talk given by a university lecturer about the structure of the university.
Good morning, and welcome to the University of Westlands. My name is Marcia Mayhew, and I'm the coordinator of the Bachelor of Social Science degree. This morning, I'd like to tell you about the structure of the university and about some of the requirements of the degree that you're about to enter. The Bachelor of Social Science is in one faculty within the university. That is the faculty where I work, known as Arts and Social Sciences. Here on this campus, we also have the faculties of Architecture, Law, and Science and Technology, among others. It's important to know something about the structure of the faculty because as you go through your course, you may need to call on members of the staff to help you. At the top of the faculty, we have a dean, and below the dean, we have 3 divisions. Each division has a divisional head, and your degree is located in the Division of Social Sciences. Within each of the divisions, there are the departments, and each of these offers the different degrees. For instance, 2 of the departments which offer the major subjects for your award are Sociology and Psychology. Each has a departmental head, but for practical purposes, the people you are going to see the most of are myself as coordinator of the Social Sciences degree and the actual lecturers who are teaching the subjects that you are taking. For instance, in the first semester, you'll be doing 4 subjects: psychology, sociology, history, and economics. If you have any problems or difficulties, not that I'm anticipating you will, but you never know, then you should go and see your lecturers. For instance, you may find that you can't meet a deadline for an essay, or perhaps you're having problems with attendance. These seem to be the 2 most common problems that students face.
COVID-19 infections clearly started to rise after Super Saturday, according to an analysis of official data that has revealed the number of Britons being diagnosed each day is now 54% higher than it was a week ago as the outbreak continues to grow. Hundreds of thousands flocked to pubs, restaurants and hairdressers after they were finally allowed to reopen on July 4 after months of being closed to help contain the UK's coronavirus crisis. Leading scientists warned it would cause a spike in infections while others insisted it was time the nation learns to live with the virus. Mail Online's crunching of government statistics shows COVID-19 infections started to rise within days of Brits being given freedom to enjoy the summer without being cooped up at home. Doctors say it can take patients up to 2 weeks to develop a cough or other telltale symptoms of the disease. Department of Health figures reveal the rolling 7-day average of daily cases on July 9 was 556, down 32% on the week before, but the growth rate had dropped from the -39% the previous day, showing that the outbreak wasn't shrinking as quickly. But it was not just a one-off. Statistics show the rate quickly started to spiral upwards, with July 13, 624 being a 6% jump on the previous week, 590. This was the first time the rate was positive, showing the outbreak had grown since the start of May when testing was massively ramped up to help officials get on top of the pandemic. Infections began to dip off in the middle of August, but it is not clear why. They soon started to pick up towards the end of the month and spiraled after the bank holiday and over the start of September when millions of children went back to school and workers dashed back to the offices. Growth rates plunged around mid-September when Prime Minister Boris Johnson introduced the Rule of Six in a desperate attempt to curb spiraling rates of coronavirus. The average number of daily infections compared to the week hit a high of 84% on September 12 but fell every day until September 19, government statistics show. They have risen for 6 consecutive days since then, Mail Online can reveal. Health chiefs announced another 6,874 cases yesterday, meaning the 7-day rolling average, 5,329, is 54% higher than it was a week ago, 3,466. By contrast, the rate yesterday was 48% higher than it was last Thursday. Some top scientists had insisted there was not a true rise in cases because the test positivity rate, how many cases are found for every swab completed, had not changed wildly, suggesting any spike is down to swabbing capacity being ramped up. However, this appears to no longer be the case, with government data showing around 20 out of every 1,000 people are testing positive now, up from the 15 on September 12. It comes as chief scientific advisors to the government, Professor Chris Whitty and Sir Patrick Vallance, terrified the nation by their gloomy prediction that cases may reach 50,000 per day by mid-October if nothing is done. They claimed infections were doubling every week in line with growing outbreaks in Spain and France. But scientists shot down the claims, warning it was based on old data that relied on just a few hundred positive cases. Even Boris Johnson distanced himself from the claims, saying the outbreak could be doubling up to every 20 days. Other figures from NHS Test and Trace also suggest cases had dwindled last week. But the newest statistics, released yesterday, only go up until September 16, meaning any spike in the past week has yet to be confirmed in another government data set. Department of Health figures show the doubling rate of cases is around 2 weeks. Almost 5,000 people are being diagnosed with COVID-19 every day at the moment, up from 2,500 on September 10. But this is based on lab-confirmed infections, and thousands of patients won't ever develop any symptoms. The Office for National Statistics, ONS, which tracks the size of the outbreak by carrying out thousands of random swab tests, estimates cases have risen 60% in a week to 9,600 a day. While King's College London researchers, who are behind a symptom tracking app, say it has doubled over the same time frame to around 16,000. Matt Hancock yesterday suggested the true number of cases occurring each day was in the region of 10,000. And the health secretary pointed out that the spike now is nowhere near levels seen during the darkest days of the crisis in March and April, when 100,000 people were getting infected every 24 hours. Yesterday a record high daily cases of 6,874 cases were diagnosed, a huge rise compared to last Friday when 4,322 people were diagnosed with the disease. But millions of Brits went undiagnosed during the first wave of the pandemic due to the government's lackluster testing regime, so it is impossible to accurately compare numbers now to those in March and April. Top experts say more than 100,000 people were actually catching the virus every day during the darkest days of the first wave. Now, estimates range between 9,600 and even 18,000. The latter estimate was suggested by Dr. Julian Tang, a respiratory disease expert at the University of Leicester, who claimed the actual number of cases occurring each day in England now may be 3 times greater than what official figures show because of how common asymptomatic patients are. Since reporting of cases varies greatly from the start of the pandemic and even now, day to day, it is helpful to look at a wider time span for signs of change in the outbreak. This provides a clearer picture of where the pandemic is accelerating, staying the same, or reducing because it's less affected by daily variations in reporting. Data shows the rolling 7-day average currently stands at 5,329. That means, over the past 7 days, that many people have been diagnosed in the UK every 24 hours, on average. The figure is 54% higher than that recorded last Friday, 3,466, and it has been increasing every day for the past 6 days. Cases have not been shrinking since the end of August, when the 7-day average was in minus figures for 4 days running. And from around April 17th to July 12th, the average consistently fell because of lockdown. Between 9,000 and 16,000 Britons are catching COVID-19 every day. Data shows between 9,000 and 16,000 Britons are getting infected with coronavirus every day, according to researchers monitoring the UK's outbreak. King's College London, KCL, scientists behind the Covered Symptom Tracker mobile app estimate that there were at least 16,310 daily cases of the disease in the last week, more than double the 7,536 estimated last week. The Office for National Statistics, a government-run agency, has made a more modest estimate yesterday, saying it thinks around 9,600 people are contracting the virus every day, a 60% rise from the 6,000 a week prior. Both surveillance projects are picking up far more than the government's official testing program, which recorded 6,000 plus cases on Thursday and Wednesday. KCL collects its data by sending tests to people who report telltale symptoms of COVID-19 into the mobile app, while the ON study sends tests to random households regardless of their health status. Data from the symptom tracking app, which has seen millions of Brits sign up and report their symptoms, suggests there are nearly 150,000 people currently suffering symptomatic COVID-19, although many more will have no symptoms. This figure has more than doubled since last week, when there were about 70,000 symptomatic patients. The chief scientist behind the app said it was fresh evidence the crisis was rising at an alarming rate. On Monday, Sir Patrick Vallance and Chris Whitty made a stark forecast of 50,000 coronavirus infections per day by mid-October, which could lead to some 200 deaths a day by November. but it has since been revealed this scenario, claimed not to be a prediction, was based on studies involving just hundreds of positive cases. A spokesman for Surveillance confirmed on Tuesday that the 7-day estimate was heavily based on findings of the weekly survey of the Office for National Statistics and the React-1 survey by Imperial College London. The studies test a random sample of 100,000 people, but, as the virus is circulating at low levels, they have to base their predictions off only a few hundred positive cases. In the last React-1 study on September 7, they spotted 136 coronavirus cases out of 153,000 people sampled. The low number led them to predict that infections could double every 7 days. This doubling every 7 days was used by the government's top scientists to reach a scenario in which 50,000 cases a day were being diagnosed in October. The government admitted it used these surveys as opposed to actual testing data because it was worried that the figures lagged behind the spread of the disease. Even the Prime Minister appeared to undermine the pair on Tuesday when he admitted cases in the UK could be taking as long as 20 days to double in number. The same day the terrifying predictions were lambasted as implausible by scientists, Mr. Johnson stood in front of the House of Commons to unveil a wave of new measures designed to stop the spread of the disease, including making the army available to help police enforce stringent new coronavirus rules such as a 10 p.m. curfew on pubs and restaurants. Figures based on diagnosed cases alone suggest the outbreak is doubling every 14 days, rising from an average of 2,527 infections a day on September 10 to 4,964 yesterday. Meanwhile, the growth rate suggests cases are doubling between every 10 to 20 days. The size of the growth rate indicates the speed of change. Yesterday the Scientific Advisory Group for Emergencies, SAGE, reported the growth rate was growing by between 4 and 8% each day, up from the 2 to 7% they reported last week. The range they gave on September 11, 2 weeks ago, was from -1 to 3%, meaning there was some possibility that the number of new cases might still be falling slowly. Professor Kevin McConway, a statistician at the Open University, said, a 4% daily growth rate corresponds to a 32% weekly growth rate. And it corresponds to a time of about 18 days for the number of infections to double. An 8% daily growth rate corresponds to a weekly growth rate of about 71%, and a doubling time of about 9 days, just a bit over a week. So, in very broad terms, these growth rates do match the conclusions on the growth of new cases in yesterday's update on the ONS infection survey. And they are certainly big enough to be worrying. Scientists say the more testing, the more cases are found in the community and reported by the government. This can give the impression there are more infections in the population when there are not. Testing has been ramped up over the summer, doubling from a daily average of 112,000 on July 16 to 227,000 a day now. During this period, government-reported cases have increased 8-fold. A useful measurement of whether cases are on the up due to testing or a genuine increase in spread is the test positivity rate, the number of people who test positive out of the total number swabbed. Department of Health data shows 19.83 of every 1,000 people are testing positive for the virus under the current testing scheme, up from 5 in July and 13 2 weeks ago. It's been rising steadily over July, August and September as a number of coronavirus restrictions were eased and people were encouraged to go back to work, eat out to help out, and children went back to school.
Boris Johnson and his top two scientific advisors tonight wheeled out a set of striking statistics laying bare Britain's COVID-19 divide between the North and the South as the Prime Minister warned of a second, more costly lockdown unless the outbreak tails off. In a rallying cry urging Britons to keep fighting the disease to protect the NHS and save lives, Mr. Johnson insisted the country knows how to drive down the virus because we did it before. And in warning the UK had reached a critical moment, he vowed not to throw in the sponge and pledged to bring in tougher measures if needed. And in a defiant message to Tory hawks desperate to reopen the economy faster, the PM insisted that letting the virus take its course in a Sweden-style approach risked overwhelming the NHS and causing thousands more deaths. He also warned it was too early to judge whether the rule of 6 and 10 p.m. curfew were working. Top experts have repeatedly warned that Britain needs to learn to live with COVID-19 because it will be with us for generations. Businesses fear tougher measures similar to ones imposed in the first draconian lockdown would cripple the economy even further. Mr. Johnson addressed the nation alongside Professor Chris Whitty and Sir Patrick Vallance. Despite coming under intense pressure, dropped scientists from such briefings amid complaints they are being used as propaganda to back up increasingly draconian restrictions. The trio presented maps that starkly expose the North-South coronavirus divide. And official data shows that the average number of positive tests each day is at least twice as high in northwest England as in any other region, and that Scotland's cases are 14 times higher than they were at the beginning of August, outpacing England's outbreak.
Gracias.